Listen, it still hurts. It sucks. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Now, a couple days later, we will touch on Tennessee and Michigan from the NCAA Tournament again, but here on a Monday, I want to start the week off on some happy thoughts. So we're going to shake things up a little bit. We're going to give you a spring practice preview because the Volunteers do start spring football practice here tomorrow. So that's what's coming up today on Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everybody, welcome into this edition of Locked On Vols. It is brought to you by Stat Hero. Stat Hero is reshaping the way that you play fantasy sports. Dozens of house-based games to play daily. No sharks, no funky props. Just you and your skill versus the lineups that you choose. Sign up today at stathero.com/lockedon. Thanks so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every day. It's also available on YouTube. A little ambitious, wasn't I, last week? Setting the goal to 1,000 at this weekend. I thought with a Tennessee victory that we'd get there no problem by Monday or Tuesday. Tennessee has lost, but hey, we're around 60 away, guys. 60 away. So I'm telling you, if you haven't subscribed to the show, Locked On Vols, on YouTube, I'm asking you, requesting you to do it now. We are so close to our goal of 1,000. Speaking of YouTube, if you're watching, taking in this podcast on YouTube, want to apologize due to some scheduling conflicts. I was not able to get this pretty face in front of a camera, so having to do it old school, just in front of a microphone. But you know, the good stuff's there. All the audio is there on YouTube as well. But we'll have video coming back tomorrow. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Like I said in the cold open, want to start the week off fresh. Want to start the week off with some good vibes. Tennessee spring football practice, well, that is starting up here this week. And so we're going to look at the offense in segment 1. We're going to look at the defense in segment 2. And then we'll get into some of those post-game comments from Rick Barnes and the players following the loss against Michigan on Saturday. But plenty to get into there before. You know, it is a fun time because spring football practice, it's the first time you kind of get a taste of what the team's going to look like in the fall, right? And so it's really, really exciting. And offensively, what we're going to focus on here in segment 1, man, there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, there truly is. Starting, foremost, you've got a quarterback. I'm going to give you some storylines to watch out for spring football practice that's set to begin on Tuesday. I will be at practice on Tuesday morning. And, of course, I'll bring you everything that I see right here on the podcast Tuesday night. Well, I guess Wednesday morning. But what you have to look forward to is you have stability at the quarterback position, okay? This is the first time. Think about it. This is the first time, truly, since the spring of 2016 that we have no ifs, ands, buts about it. If Hendon Hooker's healthy, Hendon Hooker's the starting quarterback for the University of Tennessee. No doubt about it. Yeah, Jared Garantano was here for a long time. We have feelings that it was going to be JG. But you still didn't know for sure. Well, we know for sure there's a quarterback on Rocky Top, and his name is Hendon Hooker, barring health. And so, that's going to be really, really exciting to see, if there's a step that he can take here in year number 2. I mean, think about it. Year number 1, he took over the starting job in week 3, and he threw for 2,945 yards, 31 passing touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He completed passes at 68% on the season. As a quarterback, he led the team in rushing yards at 620. He scored 5 more touchdowns on the ground. So, I mean, that was very, very productive in year number 1 at the quarterback position for Tennessee. Is there a step that Hendon Hooker can take in year number 2? I mean, I don't know if he's going to throw for 40 touchdowns. I don't know if he's going to throw for 4,000 yards. I don't know that. But can he get better? I'm sure he can. But the most important thing, and this has to do with all these other guys as well on the offensive end, really for the entire team, this is year number 2. You're familiar with the offense and the scheme, of course, but you're more comfortable in your own skin this go around because this time last year was approaching practice number 1 with the new staff. You had no idea how those practices were going to be run, what the expectations were inside your position room, how to go and compete through drills. It sounds all minor. I mean, it really does, but it's all big time things. So you've got your quarterback. You've got a good quarterback. Can he take a step in year number 2? This is from Heupel. his exclusive interview with VolQuest a couple weeks ago on the VolQuest podcast. As we head into spring ball, you look back at the things that we have to get better at from a year ago from a statistical data standpoint to fundamental techniques we know that we need to improve on. How do we incorporate that into the 15 practices? How do we put these guys in better position to grow in this time? It's going to be critical, these next 15 practices, and it all starts with Hendon Hooker. If he can take a step, he's going to improve and elevate those around him, and that offense is going to get even better. Okay, veteran returners, that's another thing on offense. Yes, you miss out on a couple of key guys, and we'll get to that here in just a moment, but the MO is on offense, and you're returning 8 of the 11 starters on that side of the football. Look at the offensive line. It was the third best scoring offense in the league, averaged over 200 yards a contest on the ground. Jerome Carvin elected to take advantage of that free year of eligibility, come back, play his COVID year. He'll be in the middle at guard. You think a healthy Cooper Mays is going to take a step in year number 2 as well at center. Javonte Spraggins, the other guard, he's got a lot of experience under his belt. Can he be more consistent? Because you know that big play flashing ability is there, you know, in relative terms as an offensive lineman. Can Darnell Wright continue to improve? He had a good year at left tackle, really did. But I mean, he was better than sliced bread when he came here to Tennessee, right? You know, the old saying going, you know, as good as sliced bread. And he underperformed in his first 2 years here. But I think that he played well at left tackle, a new position last year. Can he be elite this year? You know, the talent is there. Can key reserves, Ollie Lane, Kingston Harris, William Parker, James Robinson, can they continue to get better and better? Can the 2 tight ends in Jacob Warren and Princeton Fant? Alex Golish wants to use these tight ends way more in the passing game. Look at the tape from UCF. Look at the tape and look at the red zone, the red zone cut-ups from when this staff was at UCF. They love the tight ends. Can Jacob Warren and Princeton Fant improve even more and become more pass catchers in this offense? You know they're good blockers, especially out on the perimeter. Miles Campbell, third-string tight end, he's not expected to go through drills this spring. Julian Nixon, a chance to really, you know, see his snaps increase this spring. Can he take advantage of that? Cedric Tillman, 64 catches, 12 touchdowns in 2021. How much can he get better? I do think the consistency of hiring a Kelsey Pope to be your wide receivers coach, because, again, he's been there. He's been working with this group. He just got the promotion to the on-the-field role. I think that can help. But how much can Cedric Tillman elevate those around him? Because there's going to have to be some guys who will step up for sure. Tons of new faces on the offensive end, okay? That is one of the most intriguing parts of spring practice each and every year, whether it be a transfer, whether it be a true freshman, early enrollee. How quickly can these guys help? How are they looking, right? Josh Heupel has 14 newcomers on the practice field for spring practice. 10 of them are on the offensive end. We always talk about quarterbacks. 4-star signee Taven Jackson. How good does he look? How far away is he? How far away is he in terms of feeling confident that he can come in and spell Hendon Hooker if he gets hurt, or, barring injury, maybe come in and play extended amount of time? Can he beat out Joe Milton to be the backup quarterback? I wouldn't peg that to be the thing after spring, but maybe in the fall, maybe he can challenge that. How does Taven Jackson, the 4-star signee, look? He's been looking really impressive in workouts, but what about on the field? What about Justin Williams, the running back? Jabari Small needs an RB2. Jabari Small needs an RBB to his RBA, if you will. 1A, 1B, I guess. Can Justin Williams be that guy come fall? What does he look like on the practice field this spring? And did he make the right call coming to Tennessee over Auburn? All that and more. You got a couple more, wide receivers. 4 are in spring practice. Caleb Webb is so intriguing. He's long. He's athletic. He's explosive on the outside. He is the one that I think will eventually take the place of Javonte Payton on the outside. But how close is he? Cam Miller, what position is he going to play? Wide receiver, running back, maybe a little bit of both. He's super athletic. Looks like a running back as well. Marquarius Squirrel White, the speedster. Is he tough enough to play in SEC play? We'll find out at least part of that this spring, I believe. Chaz Nimrod, very, very underrated as a recruit, was looked over. Arkansas, he was not a take at Arkansas. He grew up 15 minutes away from the campus of Arkansas. Did Tennessee make the right decision in signing Chaz Nimrod? We'll get a chance to look at all that this spring. You only get 15 practices. I get it. You're not going to know everything, but you'll know a start. And then finally, you have some position battles. And we'll talk about this all spring long. Got to find 2 receivers. Got to find a slot receiver to replace Velus Jones. Got to find an outside receiver to replace Javonte Payton. You got to find a right tackle to replace Cade Mays. Dane Davis played probably about half the season last year replacing Cade Mays. Jeremiah Crawford, now he's not a newcomer. Now he knows the landscape of Tennessee. He knows this offensive coaching staff. It's not like he just showed up from his junior college and started camp. Can Jeremiah Crawford make a push? Can Dane Davis solidify that? Or can it be Gerald Mincey, the transfer from Florida? That is going to be a very intriguing position battle this spring. And are the Tennessee coaches satisfied with what they see this spring, or will they continue to try to bring in somebody from the transfer portal? That is very, very key. Can Jalen Hyatt step up and solidify that slot position? Can the Jimmies, Callaway, Holiday, can they play a role into playing on the outside? Can Ramel Keaton be counted on as an everyday player? Position battles, 2 wide receivers, a slot and an outside, and a right tackle. That's what we're going to be on the lookout for this spring practice. So that's some storylines heading into the offensive side of Tennessee football spring practice. It's set to begin Tuesday morning. I will be there. We'll talk with Josh Heupel Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday late morning as well. So that's the offense. We'll take a look and tell you what the defense has to look forward to this spring practice here on the other side. But first, I love March Madness. Take St. Peter's for example. Your brackets are busted. Yeah, mine's not looking good as well, but I still got some cash from it from my Stat Hero Pick'em. If you haven't checked this out, this new platform, you're really missing out. Stat Hero's NCAA single-game pick'ems pits the star players against one another by an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. Take back control from those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Start focusing on the players that you know the best with a gameplay that doesn't try to rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in their game winners winning 4 times as often. Why? Because, Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you're going up against. They simply post sets of players for you to take on with a set of players that you choose. Stat Hero is the easiest and fastest way to get your sports action fix. So what I want you to do right now, you can sign up for free at stathero.com/lockedon. Use that promo code LOCKEDON for 100% deposit match. stathero.com/lockedon. Use the promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions do apply, and the weather felt pretty good on Friday, felt really good on Sunday, not so much on Saturday, but you can feel it. It's about to be pool season, about to be lake season, about to be river season, beach season, swimsuit weather, right? If you're looking to lose or maintain weight, but still want to eat something sweet, chocolatey, but it's something that's good for you, you should really try out Built Bar, okay? 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, but 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a normal candy bar, usually sits around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Mint brownie, coconut almond. New for this month, it's the white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious, all new flavors coming out all the time. If you think a flavor might be good, they'll probably make it for you. It's delicious and it's good for you. At Built Bar, they are all about the taste. They make it delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know about you, I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. Go to Built.com, use that promo code LOCK15, and you're going to get 15% off your order. Promo code LOCK15 for 15% off. That is at Built.com. Again, I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday, available wherever you get your podcast, completely free, and on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. Do want to apologize, no video on YouTube today, but we'll get it back tomorrow. Due to some schedule. It wasn't Restream's fault this time, in case y'all are wondering. This was on me. Also, Twitter Tuesdays tomorrow. Anything you want to know. Basketball. We'll continue to stretch out this basketball conversation. We'll talk a little bit about it in segment number 3, but we'll continue to talk about Rick Barnes in the tournaments. Was it a failed season? Was it not a failed season? Any of those questions, plus spring football questions, recruiting questions, all that coming up on tomorrow's show. So make sure you tweet me at _Caner. At Locked On Vols, DM me, whatever you want. You can ask your Twitter Tuesday questions there. Okay, we talked about offense heading into spring practice in segment 1. What about the defense? Well, it wasn't pretty in 2021, allowing 421 yards a contest, giving up an average of 29 points per game. Both of those, third worst in the conference. Suffer from a lack of depth, really struggled to find some consistent starters in certain position groups. Again, much like the offense too, year number 2, you're not going to fix everything. You're not going to erase all the problems, especially in these 15 practices this spring. But it's a start, right? Again, from Josh Heupel's interview with VolQuest a couple weeks ago, we're more solidified in personnel on the defensive side of the football than we probably were a year ago. We have guys in their natural, better positions at this point, and they have a whole lot better understanding of what we're trying to do. So here are a couple of the storylines. First and foremost, on the defensive side, you know that old saying, who's on first, who's on second, who's going to play cornerback? Okay, there's always injuries, there's always offseason surgeries, there's always guys that are going to be held out for spring. This spring's no different, and it really hit hard at the cornerback position, arguably the position that Tennessee needs to help the most at. Cornerbacks, Kamal Hadden, Brandon Turnage, Deshaun Rucker, all expected to miss spring drills. Linebacker William Mohan expected to miss spring drills. Cornerback Warren Burrell probably will be limited, if not miss, the entire contact portion of spring practice. So that's Hadden, Turnage, Rucker, Burrell. That's 4 cornerbacks that you're down. 4 cornerbacks that you're down, and it wasn't good last year, especially in the bowl game when Alontae Taylor left. Burrell struggled down the stretch last year, really struggled down the stretch last year. Hadden and Turnage both missed a lot of times with injuries. Hell, Turnage was playing some star at one point or another. And Rucker, he was completely overwhelmed in Tennessee's bowl loss to Purdue. Desmond Williams from junior college, an interception machine, a returner, skilled returner. He is an early enrollee, and he will get every single rep he can possibly handle, and he will get every opportunity to show why he should be playing Tennessee's cornerback position come fall. This could be the spring of D. Williams. If he shows out and shows what he can do, he will have every single opportunity to earn reps, because it'll be him and, who else is going to get him in spring? I'll tell you who else. Christian Charles and Danico Slaughter. Expect those safeties to get some work at quarterback this year. That's not the end of the world. Do I expect Christian Charles and Danico Slaughter to be repping a safety a lot come fall camp or in spring practice? Well, TBD. I would say no right now. Those guys are safeties and stars, but it's never a bad thing to have versatility under your belt. Theo Jackson, hell, he had to go in and play quarterback in the bowl game, right? Because Tennessee couldn't find a guy to cover anybody. So expect Christian Charles and Danico Slaughter to play a little quarterback this spring. Jalen McCullough and Trayvon Flowers, your safeties. Expect Flowers to play a little star as well this spring. Again, cross-training, it's a good thing. Cross-training is a good thing. Expect Flowers to get some work at star along with Danico Slaughter as well. Another storyline going into the spring, you gotta replace your leaders. Tennessee wasn't great on the defensive side of the football, and again, a lot of that was because you just didn't have the Jimmies and Joes, right? I mean, really, and I'm not carrying water here. I'm not trying to stick up for the staff. I'm just saying, point blank, and we'll get to it in a minute, but my God, look at linebacker. I mean, you're going to sit here and tell me that's okay? You're going to sit here and tell me that that's coach's fault? I mean, goodness gracious, right? Fact of the matter is you just didn't have the bodies last year, and it's not much better this year. I hate to break it to you. It's not much better, but it will be better. I can tell you that because, again, you've created more depth. But in terms of replacing the leaders, these 3 were good at football too. Matthew Butler, Alontae Taylor, Theo Jackson, all gone from the program. And, boy, there are some big losses. Who steps up? Can it be Jeremy Banks? He doesn't jump off the page as a leader. He's had some off-the-field issues. Those haven't resurfaced. We know he's a good linebacker now. He stepped up and improved his play. I still think that he has miles and miles to go to reach his potential playing the position. But can Jeremy Banks be a leader for this defense and continue to average a personal foul a game? The answer is no. You can't. He's got to quit being stupid after the whistle. But he has the respect of his teammates, and the coaches love him. So why not Jeremy Banks? Jeremy Banks, can you complete the complete 180 transition from your freshman and sophomore year? I mean, if you're voted team captain, maybe so. Jeremy Banks is where the conversation starts. What about Jalen McCullough and Trayvon Flowers? Tennessee is slow at safety. Those 2 guys have got to get better. I'm going to be working on a story here coming up about potential replacements for Theo Jackson, potential replacements for... I don't mean potential replacements. I mean, who is this year's Theo Jackson? Who is this year's Cedric Tillman? Meaning they were here for a while, but then they balled out one year. Could that be maybe a Trayvon Flowers? Could that be maybe a Jalen McCullough? I don't know. But you got to replace Jackson as a leader and Alontae Taylor as a leader. Both of those guys were very, very impressive and important to this team from a leadership standpoint. What about Tyler Barron? He's a third-year player now. He'll be on that defensive line. He's going to play the 5 technique. He's no longer an everyday Leo. He is true cut, hand in the dirt, a defensive lineman. You know, he might stand up and do some things every now and then, but he is a full-time defensive lineman now. But a guy that's a Knoxville guy, 3-year starter essentially. He had a little 24-hour dart to the transfer portal. I don't think that people are going to hold that against him, but he came back. Could he be a leader for this team? This is from Heupel. There's a demand and a confidence and an accountability inside your locker room that is different. That comes from leadership within the locker room. Every Wednesday before spring ball is about developing that, learning how to communicate, developing leaders, and giving them opportunities to experience these roles. Because of that, I think we are developing more leaders inside of our program. All right, last thing on the defense side of the football, then we will get to, or two more things really. We got to be quick here. Got to replace the big men up front. Matthew Butler, Caleb Tremblay, Jaquan Blakely. They are all out of the program now. Tennessee had 102 tackles for loss last year. That was second in the conference, 8th in the country. They averaged 7.5 TFLs per game. That was tied for 7th best in the country. A lot of that, not everything, but a lot of that had to do with the big boys up front, okay? Got to replace Jaquan Blakely, a starter. Matthew Butler, a starter. Caleb Tremblay, a role player. Thought Rodney Gardner did a great job transforming that defensive line group last year in year number 1. He's got some work to do. Tyler Barron will be a full-time starter in the 5 technique now. That will help. He will be the replacement, essentially, for Jaquan Blakely, okay? Other guys who will contribute in the interior, Amari Thomas, Latrell Bumpus, Croc Garland, DJ Terry, Bryson Eason, Elijah Simmons. Can Simmons step up and reach his potential? Can Bumpus stay healthy? These are veteran guys. These are guys that can play, but for one reason or another, they just don't stay on the field an awful lot. Can you take steps in the right direction this spring? Jordan Phillips, Tyree West, the two newcomers will get their first true crack at practice. West, very athletic. Phillips, a big body guy. How quickly can they join the 2 deep? At Leo, it's going to be pretty much just Byron Young this spring, okay? You'll have James Pierce and Joshua Josephs join this spring, or join this summer. They're not early enrollees. You'll have Roman Harrison there this spring. Expect some cross work there as well, some cross training, but it's going to be Byron Young and Roman Harrison at Leo. Who replaces the big guys? Who has a good enough spring to put them in position to really crack that 2 deep and be an overall consistent player for Tennessee on the defensive front come fall time? The next 15 practices, we'll figure it out. And then finally, who else? Jeremy Banks at linebacker. I mean, I thought at times last year they played admirably, that being Solon Page, that being Aaron Beasley. There we go. Aaron Beasley, Solon Page. But it's not good enough for the SEC. It's just not. Juwan Mitchell, the key prize, offseason acquisition from Texas, led the Longhorns in tackles in 2020. There were questions about his health. There were questions about his future with the team. He is here in spring. He is healthy. Can Juwan Mitchell give Tennessee that boost at linebacker that we thought it was going to happen last year? Let's find out. Elijah Simmons, that is a defensive lineman. You've got Elijah Herring, newcomer. He'll be a linebacker. He's practicing. He looks like he's had a good strength and conditioning portion, phase 1 of the offseason. How quickly can he help? Who's going to step up and help at linebacker? We got to find out some of those answers here in the next 15 practices in spring. So we talked offense. We talked defense. Those are the things to look out for when I'm giving my reports, when I am giving my podcast each and every day. Over the next month, 15 practices for the Tennessee Volunteers in spring practice. Those are what we are looking for. All right, spring practice number 1 will be tomorrow morning. You guys know to follow me at _Caner, at Locked On Vols, and I will give you guys everything that I see, everything that I know from being on campus. That time of the year, college basketball tournament's finally upon us. Boy, we are moving on towards the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, the Vols aren't there, but still exciting times. All the latest odds, contests, player props, BetOnline.net, your number one source for all your sports betting needs and information. BetOnline remains the best spot for your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. Not just basketball, not just football. BetOnline is your continued source for all the sporting wagering informational needs, live betting options, your favorite Las Vegas casino games. Head to the website today, use your mobile device, learn more about all the latest trends and all of the actions. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. We have got one more segment left here on this Monday Locked On Vols. We are flipping the page of sorts, trying to start the week off with good vibes, talking Tennessee spring football practice that's set to begin tomorrow. And, of course, taking your Twitter Tuesday questions for tomorrow's show, at _Caner, at Locked On Vols. You know those DMs are open. Plenty of things to ask. Tennessee football related, Tennessee recruiting related. But we're going to talk a little bit about spring practice. We're going to talk a little bit more about Tennessee, Michigan. We'll have plenty to discuss. There is a whole lot to stretch out here. Tennessee's early exits in the NCAA Tournament. If you didn't catch my post-game pod, it's still there. I made a new playlist, by the way, on YouTube, so you can go find it. Post-game pods, Tennessee, Michigan recap. Of course, it's there in the feed for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that as well. I've got a lot of initial thoughts from Saturday there, and we'll continue to talk about that. But right now, I want to play some audio. I want you guys to hear the immediate thoughts post-game from Rick Barnes and some players. So let's go ahead and get to that right now. We'll continue to talk hoops the rest of the week as well. This is Rick Barnes just on his team. Thoughts about the team this year. The disappointment of losing right here at this stage in the tournament, the round of 32. Here is Rick Barnes.
Again, all I can say is how proud I am of our team and how hard they've worked all year long to get where we are. And I'm disappointed for them because, again, I just love the work and what they put into this program this year. And we'll never take for granted being in this tournament. I mean, there's people that never get a chance to do it, and the fact that they've worked hard to get here and have a chance to play at this time of year is special, and I appreciate this team so much.
Here's Rick Barnes when asked about the frustrations of losing this early in the tournament and if it differs from maybe losing a couple of rounds later. Here's Rick Barnes.
It's very frustrating but I will tell you this, and I'm really frustrated. I've been blessed to be here a bunch, and some teams got here that probably people didn't think would get here, some teams that we expected to get here, and it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. But I can tell you from experience, whether you lose on the first day, the second day like we did today, or you lose in the semifinals, it's the same feeling.
And then finally from Rick Barnes, Kennedy Chandler was unstoppable. He was magnificent against Michigan, especially when they switched the zone. He would just go right to the rack. But here's Rick Barnes on Tennessee's freshman Kennedy Chandler.
Kennedy did a great job. You know, they really didn't have an answer for him with his speed going downhill, and we knew that we could get him in some ball screens at time, but we needed to have, I think, more inside today. I like to see us do a little bit more inside. And
Tennessee's Josiah Jordan-James, instant reactions to the loss. Couple minutes past the final buzzer. Here's how Josiah summed up the feeling that they were feeling on Saturday night.
We know that we had bigger expectations, but credit to Michigan, they played better basketball for 40 minutes. But I think you can't. Everybody in that locker room deserves to put their head high for what we were able to do this season. It definitely hurts.
I mean, Tennessee was 2 of 18 from three-point land after really, really dominating, shooting the three ball here lately. What was the reason for that? Sometimes it's just basketball. Here's Josiah Jordan-James.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but we shot the shots that we practiced. I mean, today just for 40 minutes they didn't go in. Credit to Michigan, they played pretty good defense, but I feel like we just today just wasn't our day shooting the ball. But give a lot of credit to Michigan.
An emotional moment after the game, Kennedy Chandler, man, just burst into tears. Your heart broke for him. You saw Juwan Howard, Michigan's head coach, former NBA great, of course, the guy that punched the Wisconsin coach earlier this season. You guys know who Juwan Howard is. He came over, consoled him, and was just kind of letting him cry in his embrace, really. Turns out the two know each other. Turns out there's a backstory there. Here's Kennedy Chandler on that moment with Juwan Howard.
You know, he just saying keep my head up. You know, it's tough for me, and he know I really wanted to get the win. You know, I know him. I played with his son since like 4th grade, so I know him for a long time. So he's a great coach. I love him. But you know, he was telling me keep my head up, and you know, you play your heart out. That's what he told me.
And then here's a question that got everybody super internet mad. And we can spend more time on this tomorrow if somebody asks about it. And please feel free to ask me about it. This is the Cliff Note version of it. Everybody was mad that Grant Ramey of 24/7 Sports asked Kennedy Chandler about his future. And I get it. Time and place, sure. I hear that argument. I get it. You got a kid that was just bursting out in tears. He was emotional. He was sad. I understand. First of all, here's how that played out. Grant Ramey of Go All 24/7 asked Kennedy Chandler about his future, if he's given any thoughts to it, if he's going to declare to the NBA draft or come back. And Josiah Jordan-James steps in. Give this a listen.
Have you given any thought to your future and what's next for you?
With all due respect, he won't be answering any questions about his future today.
Okay, so you heard Josiah come in there, and he handled it greatly, just like a senior leader should or a junior leader should. With all due respect, Kennedy's not going to be answering those questions right now. It's fine. But everybody got internet mad about it. Here's how this works, okay? And I don't know how you guys reacted to it, so don't. It kind of got me fired up a little bit. So I don't want you guys to think I'm speaking at you. I'm just speaking, okay? Fans want to know what's up with Kennedy Chandler. Fans want to know if he's going to the NBA draft or if he's staying at Tennessee. He will probably go to the NBA draft. He's been a first-round draft pick since he stepped foot on campus. That's what's probably going to happen, okay? Even if he doesn't know yet, you've got to ask the question. Because this is likely the last time local media will be around Kennedy Chandler in a press conference setting to where they can ask this question on the record, okay? This is the last time. So it sucks. You hate it. Fans still want to know this answer, even if it's I don't know yet, even if it's I haven't made my mind, even if it's I haven't thought about it at all right now, we just lost. You've got to ask the question. So allow me to stick up for a fellow journalist. You got to do it, okay? You've got to do it. And the situation sucks. There's a better time and place, maybe, but actually no, there's not, because you're not going to get to talk to him in a press conference setting again. You've got to ask the question. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that. Obviously, even if Kennedy answered that question, I would expect him to say, hey, I don't know yet. We'll have to sit down with my family and just give the run-of-the-mill answer, like I'll have to come up with the best decision for me. That's, that was going to be the answer, but you've got to ask the question. You've got to ask the question. All right. Those were post-game comments from Tennessee's players and Tennessee head coach Rick Barnes following the loss to Michigan in the round of 32. We'll talk more on that loss, continue it on throughout the week. Don't forget Twitter Tuesdays tomorrow. Spring football practice begins tomorrow. Still a lot to cover here on Locked On Vols. Thanks so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen. Give Locked On NFL Draft a try. Ryan Tracy, former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker. They bring the NFL Draft to life every single day. Insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make that your second listen. That's the Locked On NFL Draft right after Locked On Vols being your first listen. Guys, thanks so much. Really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Also, if you want a good laugh, my post-game podcast on YouTube, Michigan fans rated the YouTube comments. A lot of them were really, really cool. A lot of them, well, they were celebrating a win. So if you want a good laugh, go check out the episode on Locked On Vols YouTube channel following that loss for Tennessee. And Michigan just rated the comment section. I read those just before this break, before I started recording. So anyway, thank you for your support on YouTube. We'll be back on video on YouTube tomorrow for Twitter Tuesday. That's coming up tomorrow right here on Locked On Vols.